let's talk about this Tennessee game because last week Tennessee made an absolute statement against LSU. We were talking who we thought was the best team in the SEC West behind Bama last week, and we had a conversation maybe putting LSU in the mix in front of Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss didn't look too great against Vanderbilt in the beginning of their football game. They wound up figuring it out, but LSU is completely out of that conversation now. I thought at
Yes.
one moment LSU was a very good football team. I'm not even sure if they're a great football team right now. They might just be a decent football team. I think that we talked about it last couple of weeks. LSU is 1 year out. Brian Kelly's got the team figured out. They're on a grind. Tennessee humbled them. What I want to know, Tennessee now. They are heading into Alabama. They deserve all the hype they can get because they have really showed. They are, I believe, 3-0 against AP teams so far this season. I don't think any other team has that on their resume this year. There's a conversation going out around social media. Not if they're better than Bama, because we're going to find that out this Saturday. Are they better than the University of Georgia as one of the top dogs in the SEC?
I see what you did there. Top dogs. Very
Yeah.
nice. I
Uh huh.
like that. I don't know if Tennessee is better than Georgia on paper or on the depth charts. I think it has to be said that Tennessee is playing better than Georgia is right now. Right now, Tennessee is playing better than Georgia. Again, Georgia's winning, and Georgia's the number one team in the country somehow. You know, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point during the course of the week. But Tennessee is doing everything that they need to. You know, they've already beaten three ranked opponents. Two of those games happened on the road. So it's not like Tennessee is feasting. You know, it's not like they have the Michigan early schedule or the Penn State early schedule, or even Alabama didn't have a great early schedule. You know, I mean, they beat ranked teams, two of them on the road. Henson Hooker is playing as well as any quarterback in the country. Somehow, we never seem to talk about him other than just in passing, because there is the guy at Kentucky, the guy at UTSA, the guy at Wake Forest. Somehow Hooker, we just kind of say, oh yeah, well yeah, he's really good, and then we kind of just fluff it off. He's been playing terrific. Their defense has gotten all kind of criticism, and usually Tennessee certainly last year played a lot of the bullfighting Ole defense, but they've made some tough stops when they've had to. They're forcing two turnovers a game. But either way, if they beat Alabama, I don't care where they're playing it. Now you have to say, is Tennessee the number one team in the country and not the Georgia Bulldogs, unless Georgia comes through with a big time win or two, back to back. It's not a ridiculous conversation to have. I don't know that I'm comfortable going there with 100% confidence, but I'd bet it. I'm not necessarily a big betting guy, but I would be tempted to bet that at the end of the year, Tennessee is the best team in the SEC.
Really makes you wonder. Now, you kind of stole my thunder on that one. I was going to ask you, do you think they could be a college football playoff team? I think that answer comes this Saturday. I think if they can beat Alabama, I think that they swap with the Crimson Tide. I think it becomes a four-team race, but Tennessee's there, not Bama. I think for the longest time, we've talked about how there's four teams in college football, and then there's a gap, and then there's everyone else. I think, if anything, the last few weeks has showed us, with Mizzou almost beating Georgia, with Texas or Texas A&M almost beating Bama, with the scares that Clemson have seen so far this year. Not as much, but they had a slow start. We can't really touch Ohio State. It's a lot closer of a gap than we were giving credit to, I think. And I think there's some other teams, and I think Tennessee is one of those, Michigan included, other teams like that are a lot closer to those four teams. And I think we're going to see on Saturday how close that gap is. if there is even a gap at all. I'm really excited for this football game. There's going to be way more that we talk about this football game this week because I think this is so far the game of the year. I think this is the game that we have. This is the best game of the year that we're going to see so far, and it deserves a lot of coverage.